Hey guys, it's Jessie, and today I have my March TBR. I'm going a little less ambitious with my TBR this month than I did last month, just because March is typically a pretty busy month for me. So instead of 8 books, which is kind of my goal per month for the year, which is 2 books a week, I am bringing it down a little bit. Because March is like my daughter's birthday, we're having a birthday party, it's also spring break, so my kids will be home, and it's just like a crazy busy month, so I figured I would just kind of lower that goalpost just a little bit, because, you know, I know me, and I know sometimes life can get crazy. But I am really excited because I am continuing on with some series. I am also trying to read some BookBox books, and I am prioritizing a few self-published books that were sent to me that I'm really, really excited to get to. All right, so let's jump in. The first one that I'm going to try to get to in the month of March is this self-published book, and this is An Incarnation of Light and Shadow, and the author's name is S.A. Christensen. This was one that was sent to me, and I'm very excited to get to it. On the back, it says, in the kingdom of Vercelli, only a handful of people known as incarnate can use magic. Equally feared and respected, they are revered as saints and indulged like gods. But the sudden deaths of Vercelli's rulers unleashes a power struggle between 4 incarnate, each seeking power to fulfill their own desires. Gabriel, a charismatic socialite who takes darker paths to avoid slipping back into powerlessness. Zoe, the daughter of a disgraced merchant determined to carve a new path for her life. Nicholas, an exiled prince trying to escape the ghosts of his past. Silji, an assassin who will stop at nothing until she sees the adoration she has always been denied. Infighting and betrayal runs rampant as each becomes worse than their problems in order to solve them. I mean, it sounds really cool, got a cool cast of characters, and I'm really excited to prioritize some self-published fantasy books this month. Next up, we have one of my BookBox books that I'm excited to get to. It was one of my anticipated releases when it came out, and that is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This was originally self-published, I believe, and then it got picked up and trad published, so I'm really excited. It kind of goes with my self-published theme of the month, and also goes to like knocking out some BookBox books. So I'm really excited. I know I was very hyped for this book when I heard about it because I believe it's inspired by, isn't it like the Blood Countess of Bathory or something along those lines? Like a real historical figure, like terrible if you haven't heard of her. Look it up. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this one. I really wish I had the self-published version. That way I could kind of compare and contrast, but I don't. So this is the one we're going to read. Next up, I'm going to be continuing in another series, and that is A Desolation Called Peace, which is the sequel to a memory called Empire. I read A Memory Called Empire in September for my Sci-Fi September last year, and surprisingly really loved it. I honestly thought it was going to be like too smart for me or like too hard sci-fi, and it wasn't. I really, really enjoyed it. It was very like comparable to my comfort zone because it comes to reading like high fantasy. So really excited to see how this duology wraps up. Next, I will be finishing another duology, and that is All the Tides of Fate. This is the sequel to All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I read the first book at some point last year, and I remember having a really good time with it. I really enjoyed it and just never continued on. So I'm very excited to continue on, especially after kind of the cliffhanger-esque ending we had in the last book. This is a very much like an aged-up Moana-esque story. It gives me those vibes. And there's like mermaids and pirates, and it's really cool magic, and I'm excited to see, again, how this series ends out. All right, next up, I am going to be reading another self-published book that was sent to me, and that is Cultivating Sunshine. You may have seen this in my recent like Fairy Loot and Illumicrate unboxing. I opened this package as well that came from the author, and I'm really, really excited to get to it. I also do have 2 copies that I will be giving away, so keep, you know, kind of updated for that. I will post it in the community tab when I kind of figure out what I am doing for that giveaway. But yeah, this is another like self-pub, more dystopian sci-fi-esque book. And it says, in an impoverished post-war city, only certain children are provided an opportunity with the company. With the promise of a warm home, full bellies, and an education, the students begin the memory training requested in return. But Mona figures out the truth. She knows what lies behind the door, what happens once memory recall is perfected. She devises a plan to save her friends, but will it be too late? It sounds really cool, very sci-fi dystopian, and I'm here for it. All right, next up, we have the final self-pub book on this list, and that is Mercy's Light by Jess Anderson. Again, this was sent to me, and I'm very, very excited to get to it. It says, Mercy has been keeping a secret from his loved ones and his village. A secret that could very well end his life. Descendant from a group of ancient warriors from Atis, Mercy is destined to become the greatest keeper of light the planet has ever seen, but one mistake will cost him everything. With his secret out, Mercy must find a way to free his people and keep himself alive before Queen Mala and her Unity Council can cause any more damage. With the help of his best friend Silas and an unlikely ally from the capital, Mercy will need to master his keeping of the light source and learn to accept who he was always meant to be. In this sci-fi fantasy novel, Mercy must go on a life-changing journey to find his inner strength, confront his traumas, face his greatest fears, and find his voice. Again, that sounds very up my alley, and I'm really excited to get to it. And then the final book that I will be reading in the month of March, hopefully, is Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. I just finished Lady Midnight, which is the first book in the Dark Artifices. So I'm continuing on with my Shadow Hunter journey and going to be reading Lord of Shadows. This is the second book in the Dark Artifices. And I really enjoyed the first one. I literally finished it last night, and it took everything in me not to pick this one up and to continue on with my actual TBR that I'm trying to get through, because I don't have very long to get through the rest of the books on my TBR from February. But yeah, this has just been a fun series, and I like that it kind of ties back into not only the Mortal Instruments, which this happens, I think, 5 years after the Mortal Instruments, but also ties in heavily to the, what's the clockwork? The Infernal Devices series, which I loved way more than the Mortal Instruments. I didn't really like Mortal Instruments. I loved the Infernal Devices, and this kind of ties in heavily, even though there's that big time gap. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read all of those, but the tie-ins are great, and I'm absolutely loving it. All right, well, that is my TBR for the month of March. I'm really excited for all these books, especially the self-published ones, and continuing on in series, finishing some duologies. So hopefully this is going to be a really good month, and maybe I'll read more if I finish these and still have some time. So let me know if you have read any of these. If you're interested in buddy reading any of them, let me know, because I will do an impromptu buddy read, and I think that would be a lot of fun. All right, well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.